I came back from that Colorado trade show riding high. 4 days of networking, handshakes, late-night whiskey deals, and we landed the biggest maintenance contract our division had ever pulled. Multi-million-dollar, locked and loaded. We were finally out of survival mode. I even grabbed donuts for the team on the way in. But when I stepped onto the operations floor, the place felt wrong. Quiet. No buzz of tools, no music low in the background, no Corey ranting about system lag or Mason yelling at the printer. Just silence. And their corner, 7 workstations I personally fought management to fund, was stripped to the concrete, empty. No gear, no chairs. Not even the damn laminated safety sheets I'd posted myself, like ghosts had swept through. I spun around, spotted Hector from payroll walking by with his coffee. "Where's my team?" He looked down like I'd caught him stealing. "Check the sub-level," he mumbled. "They moved your guys down there yesterday." I didn't even ask who they was. I already knew. I took the stairs down, 2 at a time, into the sub-level, the old break room near janitorial, and there they were. 7 grown men shoved into a space that looked like a crime scene from the 90s. Folding tables, mismatched chairs, cables duct taped to cracked walls, a damn mop bucket collecting water from the ceiling. Corey looked up from his tablet. "While you were out," he said, "Carter showed up with a moving crew. Gave us 30 minutes to clear out. Said it was to make space for some new process optimization consultant." That word, consultant, made my jaw clench. I turned and went straight back upstairs, walked into our old space, now repainted, polished, like a showroom. A guy in a tight dress shirt was setting up framed awards on my old desk. Carter was grinning like this was Christmas morning. "Wes," he said, arms wide. "This is Ridge. Streamlined operations at 3 firms. He'll need room to execute his vision. You guys are in the sub-level until the next quarterly review." I just nodded. Didn't say a damn thing. Walked right back out. Back in the basement, I found my team pretending to work. Truth was, they looked gutted. Mason, 35 years in this building, just muttered, "All this time," and I end up shoved in a closet like a spare part. I looked around. That space wasn't a workplace. It was a warning. I kept my voice low. "Start gathering your gear. All of it. Tools, files, notes, anything that matters to you." Tyler looked up. "Just for down here?" "No," I said. "Everything you'd take with you someday. And keep it quiet." Between us, nobody asked questions after that. They just nodded and got to work. Silent, focused, like they already knew what I was thinking. I'd been with that company 19 years, started with a wrench and a clipboard, worked my way up the hard way. 3rd shift, weekend call-outs, winter breakdowns that froze your hands stiff before you hit the shutoff valve. Guys like us, we didn't get groomed for leadership. We earned it through busted knuckles and field hours. And those men in that basement with me, I picked every one of them. Corey, sharp as hell, maybe too sharp sometimes. The kind of guy who'll tell you your plan's stupid right to your face, but then stay up all night fixing it. He used to work systems in oil refineries. Came to us because he wanted less politics. That aged poorly. Mason, ex-Navy, ran engine rooms on ships bigger than this whole damn building. Quiet most days, but his hands knew every bolt, every valve. I've seen him rebuild a busted pressure system in 2 hours flat, using nothing but scrap and zip ties. Tyler, fresh out of trade school, hungry, loyal, didn't talk much. I saw myself in him. First guy to show up, last to leave. Reminded me why I started this in the first place. And the rest of them? Solid, professional. They'd taken hits for this company more times than I could count. We didn't just meet quotas. We exceeded them, under pressure, on short timelines, in brutal conditions. No excuses, no safety net. We were the reason this place still ran. And Ridge? That guy had shiny shoes and slick numbers, but his resume read like a revolving door. 3 companies in 2 years. All of them restructured right after he left. Carter called him a visionary. Yeah, well, I'd met a lot of visionaries who couldn't hold a wrench. Down in the sub-level, we made it work. Hot as hell, cables overheating, lights flickering, dust clogging up the fan filters. But we didn't miss a single deadline. We logged every job, updated service records, ran diagnostics. We did it because it mattered, because we still gave a damn, even if nobody upstairs did. "Why are we cleaning up this mess for them?" Corey asked one afternoon, staring at the pile of stripped hardware we'd cataloged. "Because we finish what we start," I told him. "No matter what." He didn't like the answer, but he kept working. I had them archive everything. Every SOP, every version of our training docs, all our workflows, backup logs, internal process notes, organized, indexed, clean. Not for Carter, not for Ridge, for us. If they were going to shove us in the dark, we were going to leave behind a blueprint they couldn't ignore. One that proved who really kept the lights on in that building. Every file we saved, every process we wrapped up, it wasn't a favor, it was a record. And if someone ever came asking who really built this place, they'd find our fingerprints all over it. A week later, I got the email. Subject line: Board presentation invitation, Wednesday 9 a.m. Came straight from the CEO's assistant. 10 minutes to present our team's performance to the board. I read it twice just to be sure. The guys could tell something was up the second I walked in. I barely sat down before Corey asked, "What's going on?" "We've got 10 minutes with the board," I said. "Just me presenting. Wednesday?" Corey grinned like he'd just won a bet. Took them long enough. Even Mason cracked a smile. "They finally paying attention, huh?" Tyler practically bounced out of his chair. "You're gonna tell them everything? Every number, every job, every hour we've carried this place." It was the first time in months we had a real buzz going. They stayed late without being asked, helped me pull reports, compile field data, clean up charts. Tyler even built a timeline of all our repairs since the relocation, marked each one that Ridge ignored. Wednesday morning, I showed up an hour early, pressed shirt, clean shave, folders sorted and labeled. I hadn't worn dress shoes in 2 years, but I pulled them out of the closet, wiped the dust off, and walked in ready to go. I was halfway up the main stairwell when Carter stepped out from the side hallway, holding a cup of black coffee like he was doing me a favor. "Change of plans," he said, smiling way too much. "Board wants to hear forward strategy. Ridge is presenting instead." I stopped. "Who made that call?" "Eunice backed me," he said, like it was nothing. "You're not a visionary, Wes. Ridge is." I didn't say a word, didn't argue. Just turned around and went back down the stairs. Back in the sub-level, I walked in holding the folders. Everyone went quiet. "Well?" Corey asked. I tossed the folders on the table. "Carter pulled it," I said. "Said Ridge is presenting instead. They want forward strategy." Corey stood up so fast his chair scraped the floor. "That son of a—" "Save it," I cut in. He looked like he was ready to throw his tablet across the room. Mason clenched his jaw. Tyler didn't say anything. He just tapped the spacebar on his keyboard, bringing up his resignation letter draft. Didn't click send, just stared at it. "We're done, right?" he finally asked. "Not yet," I said. "Keep archiving. Keep packing." That afternoon, rumors started trickling back down. Ridge flopped in the boardroom, tried to bluff his way through performance metrics. Couldn't explain downtime trends, misquoted technical terms, even mixed up the repair order system. Word was, he said the wrong month for a rollout that hadn't even started yet. Carter tried to smooth it over, promised the board we'd execute Ridge's new plan anyway. Big risk, big reward, all that garbage. Around 4 o'clock, Carter showed up in the basement like nothing had happened, smiling, that same stupid cup of coffee. "Good news," he said. "We're moving you back upstairs. East Annex. Brand new desks. Should be ready by Monday, the East Annex. Smaller, cramped, fewer windows, still a demotion. Just without the mildew." I kept my tone flat. "Appreciate that," I said. "Looking forward to it." The guys looked at me, confused. Corey raised an eyebrow. Mason's head tilted, waiting for a signal. I gave them a small nod. They didn't ask questions, just went back to packing. 2 days later, Charlene walked through the front doors like she owned the place. Tall, confident, sharp blazer, steel in her eyes. I'd known her since back when I was running third shift, and she was still managing custom fabrication contracts in Houston. Now she was a director over at Franklin Dynamics, one of the fastest growing fabrication outfits in the state. I met her in the lobby. You sure about this? She asked under her breath as we walked toward the floor. You'll see. I gave her the full tour, sub-level first, showed her where they stuck us. The cables taped to the walls, the cracked tiles, the water stains, the heat hanging in the air like a punishment. She didn't say anything, just took mental notes. Then I walked her upstairs, past the main operations corridor. I timed it on purpose. Ridge and Carter were giving a tour to a few guys in suits. One of them had a leather-bound investor packet in his hand. Wes, Carter said, like we were best friends. Meet the folks interested in our new productivity model. Charlene smiled and stepped forward. Charlene Vega. Franklin Dynamics Ridge's eyes lit up like a Christmas tree. Always good to see interest from a real industrial leader, he said, extending a hand. Ridge Fallon. Lead optimization strategist. She shook it. Firm grip. You said you increased throughput 300% at Jasper Systems? She asked. That's right, Ridge said, chest puffed out. We implemented a vertical overhaul model. Cut out waste. Accelerated job cycles. Interesting, Charlene cut in, voice even. I used to oversee vendor contracts there. That's not what our reports showed. Ridge froze, just for a second, enough to catch it. Carter shifted. Well, different departments. I made an offer to Wes and his team last week, Charlene said, looking straight at the investors. And they accepted. We're building a new division. They start Monday. The room went dead quiet. The suits looked at each other. Ridge blinked. Carter's face went pale. You can't poach a whole team, Carter snapped. We signed contracts, I said. You shoved us in a basement. There's no non-competes. We're free agents. Carter stepped forward, trying to get louder than the truth. I'll match her offer. Hell, I'll double it. Too late, I said. You made your choice. We made ours. The investors didn't even wait for more. They muttered polite goodbyes and walked off. Ridge didn't say a word, just stood there, lips tight, like someone unplugged his confidence. Charlene gave me a nod and headed for the exit. Carter followed me down the hallway after she left. Do you have any idea what you've done? He hissed. I saved my team, I said. You chose him over us. Now live with it. He started to say something else, but I didn't care. I walked away. Downstairs, the guys were already smiling before I even opened my mouth. You really gonna make us wear Franklin polos? Mason asked. You wear whatever keeps the lights on, I said. Corey leaned back, arms crossed. So, we're really out? Not all of us, I said. There's still one more meeting coming. Stay sharp. That night, my phone rang just past 10. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something told me to answer. Wes, the voice said. It's Eunice. I stood up from my chair. Didn't expect to hear from you. I want to meet, privately. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., glass conference room, click, no small talk. Just like that. I showed up early. The city skyline looked like a painting behind her as she sat at the head of that big polished table. She didn't get up, just motioned for me to sit. Then she slid a folder across to me. I read your numbers, she said. I didn't approve the basement move. Carter and 2 board members did. I was outvoted. I opened the folder. My eyes hit the first page, then the second. Higher pay than Charlene's. Full department level authority. Budget autonomy. No Carter, no Ridge. Direct line to her. I want to keep you, she said. Your team. Not under anyone. You answer to me. I looked up at her. Why now? She didn't hesitate. Politics. And timing. I closed the folder. I need to talk to the crew. That afternoon, I gathered everyone in the break room. No computers, no notes, just us. Charlene's offer still stands, I told them. But Eunice wants to counter it. Direct line. No Carter. She's offering more. Corey exhaled hard. So what's the move? I'm not deciding for you. Half of you want to stay. Half want to go. I say we split. That got everyone's attention. 3 go to Franklin, I said. 4 stay here. We operate as 2 teams, but we stay linked. Shared methods, shared tools, one network. Both sides win. Mason leaned forward. You think they'll go for that? I already asked. Both said yes. Formal collaboration. No red tape. Tyler frowned. And you? Where do you land? I don't run either team. I consult. For both. No desk, no chain of command nonsense. I solve problems. Period. Everyone was quiet for a second. Then Mason gave a single nod. Corey followed. One by one, they all agreed. By 4 p.m., the split was set. The logistics weren't pretty, but the people were. I called Charlene. She was in. Called Eunice. She was already drawing up the paperwork. No drama, just decisions. Grown men making smart moves. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. Same area code as corporate HQ. Board meeting moved to 9 a.m. Carter and Ridge presenting restructuring plan. You should be there. I didn't reply. I just screenshotted it and sent it to the crew. Morning of the meeting, we showed up early. Real early. I had all 7 guys in suits. Shaved, pressed, folders in hand. No hard hats, no tool belts. Just clean presentation and quiet focus. We looked nothing like the crew they stuffed in a basement a few weeks ago. Each of us had sealed packets, color-coded tabs, clear data, no fluff, just facts. At 8:55, Carter's assistant opened the door with that fake corporate smile. The board will see you now. We walked in together. The boardroom was packed, glass walls, skyline behind them. The air smelled like stale coffee and old decisions. Ridge was already presenting, slides on a big screen, charts with no units, circles, arrows, buzzwords. And with my system, he said, clicking to another shiny graphic, we'll see 200% gains by Q4. A board member leaned forward. And what does this mean for your current tech teams? Carter jumped in. They're adapting. Some resistance, but manageable. I saw Eunice's eye twitch. She sat up straighter. Wes, she said, cutting through the nonsense. Could you walk us through your numbers? I nodded. No speech, no theatrics. We stepped forward and handed out our reports. These, I said, tapping the front page, show that the basement team, the one you relocated to a moldy storage room, handled 80% of high-priority repairs last quarter. The board started flipping pages. No one blinked. Page 4 tracks timelines, I said. Page 7 compares Ridge's projections to actual outputs. And page 10 lists every system Ridge promised to streamline. Not one has shipped. Ridge's face went stiff. He tried to hide it, but his neck flushed red. Also, I said, sliding a second set of folders down the table. Page 12 contains Ridge's public employment history, lawsuits, early terminations. One rollout in Oklahoma that shut down an entire plant. One of the board members leaned in. Is this verified? Public record, I said. Takes 10 minutes, but no one here bothered. Carter looked like he'd been punched in the throat. We didn't know about this, he muttered. You didn't ask, I said. You saw shine and ignored substance. I let that sit for a beat. Then I handed out one last packet. Our proposal. A dual team model. Half the crew stays here under Eunice, half already signed with Franklin Dynamics. We operate independently but collaborate on shared processes, cross-trained staff, and standardized systems across both locations. That's when Talia spoke up. She'd been sitting quietly behind the Franklin nameplate the whole time. Mid-30s, sharp, quiet confidence. Charlene's right hand. We're backing this approach fully, she said. And to be clear, we've already signed half the team. First Division kicks off Monday. The board went dead silent. One of them looked at Carter. Where do you fit in this? Carter opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Ridge just stared at the table. Eunice stood. Gentlemen, we'll need a few minutes. Please step outside, we filed out without a word. 48 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Text from Eunice. Carter and Ridge terminated. Offer approved. When can you start? I turned the screen so the guys could see it. Corey let out a breath and leaned back in his chair. Well, damn, I smiled. Guess we just did. We met at the bar that night. Whole crew, both teams. Franklin guys on one side of the long table, company team on the other. First round was already poured. Nobody said it, but we all knew what this was. A line in the sand, and we'd made it across. Charlene showed up halfway through the second round, dropped her coat on the chair next to me, and gave Mason a solid clap on the back. You boys earned this. Corey raised his glass. To basements and better endings? We drank. Even Tyler, who usually sipped soda, had a whiskey in front of him. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Text from Eunice. Congrats. Proud of what you built. Let's go. Make it work. I held up the phone so they could see it. Corey leaned in. So, that went better than expected. I took a sip. It went exactly how it needed to. You planned this whole thing? Tyler asked. Not all of it, I said. But when Carter brought Ridge in, I knew we needed leverage. This setup, 2 companies, shared expertise, it's our insurance. No one can bury us now. Mason grunted. So, who do you work for these days? Both? Half-time consultant for each. No desk, no chain of command. Just problems to solve. Corey shook his head. You realize what you did, right? I looked at him. People laughed. Tyler actually smiled for once. We stayed late, talked jobs, shared upcoming projects, compared notes on what equipment we'd need. Nothing flashy, just forward. 6 months later, our dual-team model got picked up by an industry journal, called it The Future of Legacy to Digital Transition. Whatever that meant. They didn't mention the part with the mop bucket. Ridge started popping up on YouTube, selling leadership courses for $499 a seat. I watched 5 minutes of one and had to shut it off. Carter vanished into some logistics firm with a name that sounded made up. Nobody missed him. Our guys? We've got natural light again. Equipment that doesn't need duct tape. CEOs who ask for input before making decisions. We train our own replacements now, not because we're leaving, but because we're building something that outlives us. Funny thing, sometimes the best revenge isn't yelling or lawsuits. Sometimes it's walking out on your own terms and leaving the clowns to mop up their own mess. Basement's still empty, but we built something down there that nobody upstairs can ignore again.